What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Travelin Hustlas podcast, where we discuss how digital nomads make money. And this podcast is about breaking down the silo effect within the nomad community. Our intent here is to openly provide actionable ideas to hustlers becoming digital nomads. Your hosts, Lavelle and Paris Lee, will be leading the show today, and we are welcoming Jo+Om to the Travelin Hustlers podcast.
Gratitude. Hello, guys.
Thank you for having us
Thank
on.
you
We
so
appreciate it. I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. Likewise. So we wanted to get your story, and how did you get into van life?
Growing up, I moved often with my mother, and in my adult life, I started to notice that I carried that into my adult life of moving constantly. And when I say constantly, sometimes 3 times in a year, and each year, usually moving at least time throughout a majority of my life. And I just got to a point where I was like, why don't I just, instead of fighting this aspect of myself, why not lean into it and work with it? And so that started the idea of van life, as well as freedom, financial freedom, autonomy, and all of those things as well. So that's kind of like a short answer.
Cool.
And so what does freedom mean to you? What does freedom mean to both of you?
Freedom means to me is freedom of mind, body, spirit. So if you work a 9 to 5, and no shade or disrespect to people that do or have to, your mind and your body for that 9 to 5 period of the is operating for whatever entity you're working for, right? So to me, that doesn't feel very free. Along with that comes the freedom of expression and the freedom of exploration, the freedom to explore the imagination, and also the freedom to cultivate the spirit. So that requires a lot of infrastructure, unfortunately, on this planet in order to be able to have that level of expressiveness. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answer it. Definitely.
I would like to add, if that's okay, as far as what freedom is for me. I actually have a very similar story to Om. I was born in the Caribbean, and I'm from Grenada. I was born in Grenada, and then moved around a lot with my mom, who was an entrepreneur. She worked for CNN and Wall Street, but from the Caribbean. So she would travel a lot, etc. And I think I was 8 when I moved back to the Caribbean, to Barbados, which is where my accent's from. So I just say I'm Bajan when people ask me, because I'm not going to go through every single thing, because I moved around a lot. And so for me, having a mother who was nomadic before I was even a thought, it was just one of those things where when I was living in New York for 14 years, I knew that while New York is magical, there has to be more to life than hustle and bustle and working 4 jobs, 3 a day at 80 hours a week minimum, and pursuing a modeling and makeup artistry career, because that's what I moved to New York for. And so I really had to get myself out of New York in order to essentially find myself all over again. And that was really important for me, because then I was able to see, okay, Jo, I'm tired of living on other people's terms and doing my craft on other people's terms. So as a model, I did not want to sign a contract with anyone. So I've been modeling all this time without having a contract, just because, those contracts are some serious words, and I did not want to feel obligated to those. And so I knew there was more to life than doing what you love, but in the way that someone else wants you to do it. Because at that point, you're working for someone else, but you love, and that is not freedom for me. So I really needed to make some changes, move to California, and then realized that that's when Om and I, back in 2018, we were like, let's get a bus. Let's completely convert a bus. And then we realized the science behind that, and it just wasn't the right place or the right time. And also it wasn't feasible. But our minds came together in 2018, and we were on the same page, piggybacking on what Om was saying as far as what it means. We decided that, you know, we're just going to go all in. We're going to figure it out. So we were living in Chicago up until last year of June 31st was our 1 year anniversary of van life. So last year, we, you know, the pandemic hit, and we were just like, you know what, let's just get everything together as far as our finances, pay out of pocket, because that was the first step into freedom. The non-negotiable was, we are not go into van life or do anything with a mortgage, with a lease, with a car note, with nothing. So we knew that we had a budget, and we saved. We broke our lease. We flew to Philly from Chicago to buy our van, because we did everything virtually. We had the virtual tour and everything. We went to Chicago, bought the van there, and then we flew to LA. I mean, we drove to LA because I had a modeling gig, and then, you know, so forth from there. So it was an all in or nothing type of thing for us as far as freedom, rather than having 1 foot in and 1 foot out, which goes back to the analogy / example I gave you about doing your craft and doing what you love, but doing it for somebody else and not on your own time.
Right.
Okay.
It's like the saying goes, you can't serve two masters.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, Jo just she just segued us into a couple of questions that we wanted to ask as a result. And you know, we want to ask everybody who comes on this podcast about their financial focus when moving into their vehicle. And we have 3 categories: saving, investing, and making money. So out of those 3, did you, what, I mean, it may have been all 3, but what was the primary focus? Was it saving money, investing?
It's about balance, right? So we kind of have a system, and we didn't make this system up. It's definitely a better line, which is the 50-30-20, which tends to work very well.
I promise you.
So 50% of the income, and we pool everything. So it's like, we do have our separate money, which we'll get into in a moment, but everything kind of goes to the house. And so everything that comes in goes through the 50-30-20. 50% goes to expenses, living expenses and fixed costs, etc. 30% goes to discretionary spending. So we then take that and do 15% to each of us. And then that's our own money to do what we would like with. And then 20% goes to savings. And then if you want to, you can split that up and do 10 into savings and 10 into investments.
Okay, so you guys use the Elizabeth Warren system.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a couple.
Very helpful.
You gotta use what works for you. And that was
exactly.
good.
So do you guys budget together?
So budgeting is like, that system is kind of our form of budgeting. So we kind of just assess what the accounts are looking like, and what's the best way to allocate those funds given where we are. So it makes it feel a little less restrictive. Well, this is, and less robotic as far as how we operate, but still there's structure that we can work within.
And the beautiful thing is, like, if I'm making more money, it doesn't matter, because it's the 50-30-20. So regardless of whatever it is, we put it immediately. You guys know it, like it immediately goes to the pool, and then you divide from there. So I say that to say that we're always covered because of that 50-30-20, regardless of who's making more. So we're always covered. And
and that system has been able to help us to save enough money for our next purchase, which will be land.
Okay, all right.
Hey.
I wish we could talk more about that, but this is a money podcast, so we could talk about conversation, because we're actually in the market right now. So
So you, Joe, you mentioned that you were a model before doing van life, and I know you were an actor before van life. So do you both do that while you're living in a van life? Like, what are your ways of making money while living in a van?
Yeah, so I am currently still modeling, but my main focus is my practice, my spiritual practice. So I am a certified yoga instructor, life coach, Reiki practitioner, sexologist, and relationship coach. So those 5 elements is what my practice is based off of, and it's called Just Healed with Jo. So that's how I make my money. I essentially created my own business. The thought came up 3 years ago, but it has turned into a business during van life. And van life was my motivation because I refuse to work for anyone on the road. That's just me personally. Also, this is my purpose. And it just so happens to be something that I love to do. And I have been called to do it. So I have found a way to make it work. And I have built the whole business off the ground from van life or in van life, and Om created his whole album in van life. So it is very, very possible to do what you love, make money doing what you want to do. I know we don't have time. I would tell you how I did it, but it definitely is very possible.
absolutely.
And then, yeah, so I used to say I'm a retired actor, but I mainly retired from the industry altogether, the entertainment industry. So with that said, I still get residual income from the television shows that I've been in and the movies that I've been in. And then I'm also a serial entrepreneur. So when the pandemic started and the height of it all, I started a new fragrance. I started, or better yet, I developed a fragrance. And then I created a self-mastery course that is completely digital because I'm a very, very big fan of evergreen products and items that can make you money in your sleep for the rest
Passive
of your life.
income.
Especially in environments such as a pandemic where exports and goods can get very very complicated very quickly. So that was another stream. I developed some artwork, and that artwork was also part of the album, which also works in merch and prints and things of that nature. And then most recently, I just launched a music production company called An Own Production. So that's essentially people can lease and license my intellectual property, which are instrumentals, to use for podcasts or for vlogs, and they are able to
My
use
workshops.
that music and liven up their production.
Okay, we're gonna have to check you out. And also, so this might, you know what? I'm gonna just hit you offline because I think I was about to go on somewhere. I ain't have no business. All right.
So do you find it more accessible or difficult to do your businesses on the road? How is it doing your business on the road as a level of difficulty or easy?
I think for myself, just because where my mind is right now with the music production, it's a little more difficult because I like having like a stationary place and set up and like ready to go. And the limited space doesn't really allow for that, and it's not very conducive for that, which is why we've been making more of an initiative to buy land so we could be a little more stable, for lack of a better term. And that for my process is a lot more conducive.
And then for me, it actually works out great because a lot of my business, so I have one-on-one clients and I don't need to see them in order to have them, including yoga. I will do virtual yoga sessions. My workshops, which I have every Sunday, are on Zoom. and they're 30-minute healing workshops where we do breath work and meditation. So I'm able to, it's really on my terms as far as, and I set it up like that purposely so that I don't have to worry about maneuvering or transitioning into a house when we buy a house to then wait to do things within my business that I'd like to do. So it just so happened that when COVID happened, everything went virtual. It worked out in my favor because I was able to have my clients on the phone, on video chat, or Black Nomads Meet, have it in person. Wherever we go, I'll just, like right now I'm creating a whole event with a collaboration with another yogi, and that will be in person. So I have that option. And I'll just be wherever we are, I'll just set up shop and I'll have an event, people will come. And a lot of my business is donation based because I am very intentional about intentional healing, and I'm here for you guys, not the other way around. So I need to make sure that I am delivering and I'm able to be accessible to everyone. So I set up my business like that purposely.
Nice.
Cool.
And anyone can do it. So it is possible. There are no excuses. COVID proved that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything that you would like to tell our audience before we leave that has helped you guys through your financial journey and your career?
50, 30, 20. I can't
yes,
say
Elizabeth. Yes.
It's been it's very simple but effective and powerful as far as just organizing your finances and allocating it. And financial literacy, learning what money is, learning how it functions, understanding the history of money, and just your intrinsic value, right? The only person that can really determine your value is you. So it starts with that. You have to demand your worth, or else someone will place a price on you. You know, the Wall Street, you know, we're talking about Wall Street. What was the first thing that was sold on the market? People. So, you know, if you don't put a value on you, somebody will.
That's
wow.
For.
Wow. Thank you for leaving that message. Thank you guys for both joining this podcast. And so can you guys give us where you would like people to reach out to you on social media or wherever you would like people to contact you at? Yeah,
so it is for Instagram, it's Jo+Om On The Go, JOMONTHEGO. And then our individual Instagram accounts is for Om, it's an Om production, and om.the.mystic, MYSTIC. For me, it's just Heal with Jo, all one word, on Instagram. My website is just www.justhealwithjo.info.
And then if you want to check out the website, it's anomproduction.com. That's ANOM production.com.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank
We
you
definitely have to have y'all come on again and talk a little bit more, because I had a whole bunch more questions that we don't have time for, but definitely would love to hear more about your business.
Cool. So
yes, thank you so much, guys, for having us. Gratitude. And it's amazing what you guys are doing, so continue, please. I love it.
cool. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Travelin Hustlas podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs and share stories on how to make money on the road, educating and motivating digital nomads, making moves and achieving financial freedom. What's your next move? We want to hear it. Peace out, y'all.
Adios.